All right, welcome back to the Krueg Show. Fired up today, guys, because we have Anthony Torres with us, the Toledo tight end, and what an incredible story he has. Really, it's a story of stick to itiveness, perseverance, focus, drive for all you young guys who are dreaming the NFL dream. Definitely pay attention today because Anthony Torres' story is his road to success has, let's just say, been paved with lots and lots of challenging turns, and he's with us on the Krueg Show to in advance of the NFL draft to talk a little bit about his draft process and his career. Anthony, thanks for jumping on, man. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me. Look forward to spending some time with you.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your career, man, because you first of all, let's talk about your family. You grew up in Indiana. Your brother played
Yep.
hoops at Notre Dame. Mom played soccer at Notre Dame in the '90s. So I gotta imagine that a young Anthony Torres in high school was thinking, man, maybe I'll play in front of Touchdown Jesus. Maybe I'll play at Notre Dame. Were you dreaming the Notre Dame dream as a middle schooler and high schooler?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you said, like you mentioned, my mom went to Notre Dame. And she played soccer there. My grandpa, her dad, he went to Notre Dame and went to school there. And then my brother ended up playing basketball there. So those Notre Dame roots definitely run deep. I mean, growing up 15 minutes from campus, I was there every home game, elementary school, middle school, every home game I was there, either tailgating or going to the game. So, yeah, it ran deep in my blood. And as I got older, I kind of, when I started going through the recruiting process, I kind of, not fell out of love with Notre Dame, but more of kept an open mind. But definitely like elementary school, middle school, I remember watching Tyler Eifert and Kyle Rudolph, guys like that, and just dreaming of being those guys one day.
Yeah, and so you're doing the whole high school football thing, and you're having a nice little career, and you go to a football camp. I guess what summer 2017, you
Yes,
go out
sir.
to Iowa, you do their football camp. They eventually would offer you a scholarship, so obviously you played well at their camp, but you hurt your back in that workout. Tell us, and you woke up the next day in excruciating pain. Tell us, and this detoured your life. I mean, this really impacted you. So talk a little bit about the road you were on and how the back injury kind of crept in.
Yeah, that road I was on was paved with a lot of trials and tribulations. Um, like you said, I went to Iowa's camp, had a really good camp, but ended up hurting my back. I don't know when during the camp or how it happened even, but I remember, after the camp, I was feeling tight. I'm like, oh, this is probably some tightness. Wake up the next morning and probably feel better. Um, and then wake up the next morning in a lot of pain, and I'm like, something's not right. And um, it was frustrating because like I feel like I was at such a high point, got an offer from Iowa, and then all of a sudden I'm hit with this adversity. And I go through the doctor's visits and all that, and they started me off with PT, and it got me to a certain point, but at the end of the day, it didn't allow me um, to really play football. Definitely didn't allow me to play football. Missed my whole senior year of high school, not even football season, but just high school in general, because I wasn't able to, truly live a normal lifestyle. I was finishing classes online, missed out on, all those cool experiences that you have as a senior. And then for me, what hurt the most was missing out my senior year of football. I had really high expectations, high hopes going into that season. I had, the recruiting really started to pick up, and God sat me down and was like, putting you on a different path." And um, in the time, it was horrible. It was very difficult pill to swallow, but looking back on it now, I couldn't be more grateful for it because I feel like it helped me mature at a young age, and it definitely, built my faith in my relationship with Jesus Christ. And then on top of that, I learned, there's a lot more to football. Like, I mean, that's life. You're going to be
Yeah.
hit with adversity and experience things that are unexpected, and it's about how you respond to those things.
It's so funny. I've had a career in radio for decades, and there's an old saying in radio begins when everything that you plan to do on the show fails. It's like, we were going to have a guest. He didn't show up. We were going to take calls. The calls didn't work. The phone lines didn't work. It's like, well, then what do you do? And it's
Right.
like, you got to have a plan. And some people just, ball up in a corner and cry, and that's it. Other people kind of figure it out. And it's like life challenges you, and life calls your bluff sometimes. And I'm just reading your story here. Man, you had big plans. You were planning to transfer to IMG Academy in Florida, and obviously ride that into a Big Ten future with Iowa. It sounds like Iowa honored their scholarship commitment, but when they realized the injury was pretty serious, what did they just said, hey, you might want to reconsider here? Is that pretty much how it came down?
Yeah, I mean, they're like, look, offer's still here, but like you said, just kind of in layman's terms, just like you might want to reconsider um, looking elsewhere. And for me, I mean, the writing was on the wall at that point, so I decided to decommit and then explore other options. And thankfully, I had other options there. Especially the two schools I really was interested in was Western Michigan and Toledo, and I ultimately chose Western Michigan to start my college career. But yeah, I mean, it was just a blessing to have those two options still available to me at that moment.
And it sounded like maybe you had a high school teammate that was going to Western Michigan. Did that make that decision a little easier too? That you knew
Oh
somebody?
yeah, yeah, it definitely did. We didn't necessarily play together. We were on the same 7-on-7 team, and then we trained together a lot. And so that's where our relationship started. And he was between Tennessee and Iowa, or Tennessee and Western Michigan. He chose Western Michigan. He's like, I'll do my best to see if I can get you along with us. And he reached out to a couple of coaches, and they were on me pretty quickly. So and me and him are still best friends to this day. So I can't thank him enough for what he did.
I'm pretty sure, and I have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure Jalen Moore, who was with the Niners and just left in
Yep.
free agency, I'm pretty sure he was a Western Michigan guy, was he not?
Oh yeah, 100%. He was
Great
there.
dude. Great guy.
Yeah, great dude, great dude. He was quiet, but no, I mean, his actions spoke louder than his words anyways. He was one of the hardest workers on the team, and it was great having a guy like him to look up to. Just the way he carried himself and went about his business.
So, I mean, so we're talking about you're on this incredible trajectory. You're going to, the play in the Big Ten. Then you get this serious back injury. What was the back injury? Was it like a disc? Like I had a back surgery like 20 years ago, where just like part of the disc in one of the in one of the cylinders fell down, and I had to have it kind of, micro discectomy and take it out and everything. And so I had like a back surgery in like 2000 and something, but I don't play football. It was just a matter of, hey, can you carry your kids around? Can you coach little league? Can you, and it's been fine for me. I've lift weights and run and do all the things I've wanted to do. But man, it's not always that easy. I know Steve Kerr had a back surgery and he was derailed because of spinal fluid leaks and that kind of thing. What was the nature of your surgery?
Yeah, it was very similar to yours. I had a herniated disc, and being that I was young, they didn't want to go right into surgery right away. So went down the PT route, and that got me to a certain point, like I said, but ultimately ended up doing the microdiscectomy, which is a really minimally invasive surgery. I mean, my scar is probably like that big, like it's maybe a half an inch, even if that. But yeah, I went in there, and it's amazing. That surgery is like a miracle because like as soon as I woke up from surgery, I felt like 100 times better than I was feeling. So yeah, I mean, I was so relieved after that surgery and after it went well. And like you said, it's like I can just after that I could have lived my life again.
Yeah, I'm 55. I have adult children, so I have a daughter who's going to her master's program. I got a son who just graduated college. I got another son who just started college. So it's like I kind of went through this whole, with them, all the distractions of COVID and all that thing.
Yeah,
You had to not just go and, endure this back injury and, having your Big Ten dream derailed and winding up in the MAC and that kind of thing. But then you also had to deal with COVID, and
yeah.
you only played in, what, a handful of games in that 2020 season. I mean, did you ever think back at, about this road that, I mean, that maybe what you thought it was going to be coming out of high school and what it ultimately turned out to be in college? I mean, it's truly a testament to your perseverance that you're at where you're at today.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I do think back on it a lot. I spent probably too much time in college. But like you said, my first year at Western, I redshirted just because I physically wasn't ready to play in that at that level. Um, but the thing that I hang my hat on that year is I won Scout Team Player of the Year for the offense, and so for me that was like a really good feeling and a confidence builder, and knowing that like I can play at this level. And then my sophomore year, I was derailed again by another injury. It was an ACL. That was in 2019, so that was the summer going into my would have been my redshirt freshman year. So I got a medical then, and then finally 2020 rolls around. I'm like, here we go. Like this is the time. And like you said, COVID, pops up, and that led us to only having a 6 game season. I played in all 6 games, but it wasn't anything like a normal season. But I appreciate that year because that was like the opportunity to get my feet wet and really get a taste of what playing at this level was like. I mean, the fans weren't there, and the games were pretty quiet. But in terms of playing, it was good to get out there again. And then finally, 2021 is when I really started to find my way at this level.
It's interesting. So, you're a little derailed, on the field, but off the field, it sounds like life was going good, huh? You got married to your probably the love of your life, and in
Yeah,
May of 2023. I'm looking at a picture, you guys standing on some mountaintop in Colorado. It looks like
yeah,
um,
yeah,
you're a little bit taller than her, a little
yeah.
bit taller.
A little bit.
How did you guys meet? Did you guys meet at Western Michigan, or are you guys high school sweethearts? How did that come about?
So funny story. So we met when I was at Western Michigan, but she's actually from my hometown. She went to Mishawaka, which is Penn's rival high school. Never knew each other, kind of just knew of each other through like mutual friends and whatnot. And my best friend, who's been my best friend since middle school, he actually was the one that introduced us to each other. And that was in that was in the summer of 2019. And um ever since then we basically fell in love and finally got married, and like you said, in 2023. And now we're coming up on 2 years in our marriage, which it's crazy how fast it goes. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Amazing, man. Congratulations on that. And,
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
mean, I would imagine that has made this journey more gratifying, and also maybe a little easier that you have somebody to at least share your stories with every day. Hey, this is going on, that's going on. This opportunity looks like it could come about. We're meeting with that team. It must be cool to have somebody to share that with.
Oh, 100%. And she's been super supportive. I know it's not easy on her because going like, first of all, she's getting her doctorate, so she's in her last semester of that. So she's been at home working and doing clinical and doing schoolwork. And I was at Toledo, so it was a lot of back and forth. She coming to see me during the season on the weekends, and in the off season, I would go see her on the weekends when I didn't have training and workouts. And but we've made it work. She's been super supportive. Definitely been there through the good times and the difficult times, and she's been my rock through this all.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That I'm gonna imagine that helps quite a bit. So
Oh
you're
yeah,
at Western Michigan. You put yourself in the transfer portal. Literally, like almost instantly, Toledo reaches out. Did you
yep.
know Jason Candle, the Toledo head coach? Were you aware that was going to be a good spot for you?
Oh yeah. Like I said, so during my high school time, Toledo, I visited there a couple times, and so I had a solid relationship with Coach Candle, and then some coaches on the staff. I mean, he's done a great job of retaining his coaching staff for the most part. I mean, I personally think that a lot of the coaches that are on the Toledo staff are, in my opinion, overqualified to be coaching at a non-power four school. But he's done a great job of retaining those guys, and I think it's a testament to the culture that he's built there. But yeah, I was familiar with Coach Candle, and like I said, like as soon as my name was in the portal that day, they gave me a FaceTime where it was like, if you want to come here, we have a scholarship for you. And I kind of knew right away, but I still wanted to, be patient, take my time, and really think things through. But ultimately, within a couple weeks, I made the decision to go there.
Good decision, right? Good decision. You had a
Oh
great
yeah,
year this
oh
year.
yeah,
31 catches, 400 yards, 9 touchdowns. And I caught the I went out to dinner, but I taped the bowl game,
oh
and
yeah.
I got an alert saying, "Hey, you're going to need more space on the DVR." So I'm like, called my kid. I'm like, "Yeah, I think that bowl game's I'm gonna need a little bit more space." He's like, "Dad, it's in the fourth overtime." Uh, so I'm like,
No,
"Yeah."
that was a great way to end my college career.
6 overtime bowl victory, 48-46 over Pittsburgh in the whatever sports bowl. And you caught 4 balls for 42 yards and a touchdown in that game. And Toledo wins it in over. You guys won the overtime 18-16 to win that thing
Yep.
in 6 overtimes. How was your body feeling in the 6th overtime of that game?
Oh my gosh. Thankfully they changed the rule to make it 2-point conversions
Right.
after the first or the second, overtime. But at the end of that game, I was exhausted. I mean, Detroit's because we played at Ford Field in the Detroit Stadium. It's a really nice stadium, but it gets hot in there. Um, but I was pumping fluids, and by probably by the fourth overtime, I'm like, shoot, like this is just going to come down to which team's tougher at this point because everybody's tired, everybody's exhausted. But yeah, by the end of that game, like I was dead. But it was awesome. It was a really cool experience, really good crowd. And then obviously coming on down out on top was the best part of it all.
Oh, absolutely. Great finish to your career. How would you describe yourself as a player? Because I've watched you play. One thing I liked about, the way the coaches there used you is that they moved you around. I mean, you were all over the formation. And you look like a pretty sure-handed receiver to me. You look like a pretty solid blocker, big hands, 10.5-inch hands, 80 and a quarter inch wingspan, really long arms. As I said, I kind of think you're kind of a two-way player. I don't look at you as a receiver but not a blocker, or a blocker but not a receiver. I think you could probably do a little bit of both. How do you see yourself, and what have you heard from the scouts as you approach the draft?
Yeah. Um, I would agree with you in the sense that I feel like, I'm more of a traditional tight end. I feel like a lot nowadays, a lot of guys are, either considered like Fs or Hs and then Ys. And I would definitely put myself in that Y category overall. But, I feel like I've had really good coaches to help me develop into an all around guy. Um, early in my career, I was asked to block more. So I think that really helped shape me as a blocker. And then as I guess I got to Toledo, they asked me to do more, move me around more, like you said, put me in the slot, off the ball, on the ball. So that helped me to develop my football IQ, and then also develop as a receiver. I mean, at Toledo I ran the whole route tree. I mean, not every game that would be showcased, but in practice I'm doing every type of route, ins, outs, verticals, all types of things. So that really helped me develop as a receiver. And I think, um, as you mentioned, or you asked what scouts were saying, and basically they think that I'm kind of a Y tight end that can play in line, but also they can move me around as well. Um, and I think that's what I want to be. I want to be the best all around tight end I can be. And I try to emulate my game after people like Gronk or Tony Gonzalez, like bigger guys like me, but made a difference in the run and the pass game.
I do the Niners pre and post, and do a show on KMBR on their flagship station on them throughout the year. And I know that you met with them. What was the meeting like with the 49ers? Who did you get a chance to meet with?
Yeah, it was one of the area scouts. This was at the Hula Bowl, and it was the first team I actually met with when I got there, and that was a really cool experience. And it was just, a lot of background information, getting to know me as a person, and asking questions about my family, about my development as a football player, asking questions about stuff off the field, and um, just a lot of background information. Making sure that I was feeling good, from a medical standpoint, and just kind of checking boxes to make sure that a guy that they're interested in doesn't have any red flags anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I know there are some scouts that will look at you and say, "Oh, he's a 25-year-old prospect, and
Yeah.
oh, he's gonna be 26 in October, and he's an older guy." But like for a team like the 49ers, for example, they got a bunch of draft choices, but they're looking to find guys. Like last year, they had a really good draft. They drafted a lot of guys who had played a long time in college, because they wanted guys who were a little bit more mature, a little bit more developed, a little bit more ready to contribute. Some teams, especially contending teams, they don't have time necessarily to invest 2 or 3 years in somebody, and they're looking for somebody who can kind of come in, be a pro, watch the film, develop their game, and get on the field as fast as possible. And in a lot of ways, I feel like that could be, you could be a good fit for them. The one thing about the 49er offense is there's a lot of shifts, a lot of motions, a lot of
Oh yeah.
formation variation, and you got to be smart. I mean, I would say they brought in a kid last year, Mason Pline, and as an undrafted player, and he's an architect. I think he was an mechanical engineering major. I mean, you
Hmm.
got to be smart. I mean, you got to be smart. And they redshirted him this year, so he'll be in camp competing for a spot. But I think, as a guy like yourself who's already earned their bachelor's degree, are you working on your MBA, or have you already gotten the MBA?
I already got my MBAs. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've got a a degree, you got an advanced degree. I mean, obviously you're a bright guy. So, maybe the age factor may not work against you for every team. And the 49ers might be one of those teams that looks
Right.
at you and says, "Hey, you know what? We draft Anthony, we bring him in here, and he can play behind Kittle, and maybe take over in a year or two." So how cool would it be to play with a guy like George Kittle? I don't know if you've met Kittle, but he's a tremendous dude.
Oh no, I haven't met him, but obviously I was committed to Iowa, so
Yeah.
it's funny because I remember I was at a game, and it wasn't a visit for Iowa. I was actually at a different school, but I remember watching them. I'm like, man, they use their tight ends really well, and it was George Kittle playing, and I remember. After that game, I reached out to the recruiting guy and was like, "Hey, I love the way you guys play and use your tight ends. Would love the opportunity to come meet you guys or come visit." But yeah, I mean, watching George, I love watching George play. To me, he's one of the best, if not the best, right now at what he does, because I truly think he's an all around tight end. I mean, he blocks extremely well, and then he can do everything you want him to do in the pass game. And then when he gets the ball in his hands, he's a whole another animal. But no, I love watching George play. And my tight ends coach this past year, he put on a lot of NFL film, and best believe George Kittle was a guy we studied a ton.
It's funny. I always joke with Kittle. I'm like, do you ever have a game where you're completely silent? Because he just loves to jaw and talk and talk
Oh
and talk.
yeah, he loves. You can tell he loves what he's doing.
He loves what he's doing, man. I mean, he truly loves what he's doing. Um, but he talks a big game. What's your style? Do you when you're out there, are you talking? Are you quiet? What's your in game persona?
Yeah, I'm definitely more of a quiet guy. I mean, I'll chirp a little bit if guys start chirping at me, but overall, I like being quiet. I mean, I get in some friendly conversations with some guys out there, but no, I have fun out there. I try to stay focused and locked in, and for me, it's just talking is not my thing, and so I try to stick to what I'm used to and what I'm good at.
What an underrated program Toledo has become, by the way. Sam
Oh
Womack
yeah,
was a Niner a couple years ago. He's now in
yep,
Indy. He was a hell of a player. When Sammy was here, we used to talk about Toledo, and he's like, dude, wait till you see Quinion Mitchell, man. He is really
oh yeah,
something. And
oh
sure
yeah,
enough, Quinion might have been the reason the Eagles won the Super Bowl. I mean, he was that good. This year, this defensive tackle, is it Darius Alexander? He's
oh
just
yeah.
what an unbelievable week he had in Mobile. Tell us a little bit about Darius. I mean, this guy is just He can do it all at 6'4", 300 pounds.
Yeah, Da, he is a freak athlete. He's a big guy, and as a D tackle, you don't expect a guy to be as athletic as he is. I mean, in the bowl game, I think his athleticism was on full display when he intercepted the ball and took it to the house. But Da, he's extremely strong. He's fast. He's physical, and he's just good at what he does. I mean, he doesn't flash with a bunch of different moves. Like, he's just strong, and he knows how to, he knows his leverage. And there was times where they put him at DN, so I'd have to go up against him. And
Oh,
man, he is a mother to block, but he's a hell of a player. And I'm really excited for him. I think having that opportunity to go display his skills in Mobile and then at the combine helped him tremendously. I mean, we all knew what he was capable of, but I don't think the whole scouting department of teams knew what he was capable of until they saw him in Mobile and at the combine. And I'm super excited for him, and I think any team that gets him is going to be extremely happy with their pick.
yeah, they're going to be extremely fortunate that they got him. This is an epic tight end draft. Are you
Oh yeah.
familiar with any of these other players? Is there a player or two in this tight end class that you know? Do you know any of these guys?
So I got to go to at the Hula Bowl. I got to meet, Tyler Neville, Carter Runyon, Steve O'Klotz. They were on the team I was on, and then there's a couple other guys there: Cole Taylor, Kaleki Latu, Jermaine Terry, and Drake Dabney. They were all there. But yeah, there's, like you said, this is a really deep tight ends class. I played against Harold Fannin. I mean, he's a hell of a player, and they
Yeah.
did everything with him. But in terms of like really knowing guys, not too well. I mean, I watched a lot of guys play this year, and was definitely a fan of Tyler Warren's game. I think he's a really good player. It was fun to watch him play. But yeah, there's a lot of really good players in this class, and you know, um, it's cool to be a part of a class like that. But also, it's a lot of competition. So I'm looking forward to competing with these guys, and also working with these guys in the future.
Well, and do you have any idea of where you may go? Probably, I would imagine day three is where you're going to slot in. But what are you hearing from your agent or from people that are in the know, NFL teams that you've talked to? What kind of feedback are you getting about where you may go?
Yeah, you mentioned how you were a scout, and it's kind of like a hush hush type of deal. So they don't
Sure.
want to share too much information. But yeah, right now I'm kind of like on that border of priority free agent to late day three. It would be a blessing to be drafted, to hear my name called, but at the end of the day, I just want an opportunity to play. And I think whoever chooses me, whoever picks me or takes me, they're gonna get everything I have and more.
Have you, if you make the, well, first of all, what's your plan for your career post football? If football, guys play 5 years, guys play 10 years, but there's many guys who have a career after football. You
Right.
already have your bachelor's and your master's. When football's done for you, what do you what's your focus going to be?
Yeah. So I got my degree in accountancy. But I was in auditing in my junior year, and I was like, yeah, this is not what I want to do. So long story short, I wrote out the rest of my degree and graduated the degree in accountancy, and then I got my master's in leadership. Um, it sounds cliche, but I've put everything into football. So what I want to do after football has kind of been not even in the back of my mind, but some career paths that interest me is wealth management, consulting, and then while I was training for my pro day, I also fell. I mean, I've always loved fitness and everything, but I really fell in love with the process of being like a trainer, especially in that sense, and just working with combine guys. And I think it'd be really fun to do that in the future, and hopefully I can make a good living in the NFL, and then hopefully open up my own training facility in my area.
Any of the quarterbacks impress you in the All-Star circuit? Have you seen any of the quarterbacks in this class? Any that stand out to you?
Yeah. So I didn't personally play with him, but I'm a big fan of Kyle McCord's game. I like Jackson Dart. I think he can sling it, and then Cam Ward to me is a generational talent. I mean, he's able to do everything. Shador looks great. There's a lot of guys that are intriguing, and I'm excited to see how it all plays out because I'm sure it's always like who's going to go number one overall, who's going to be the next quarterback taken. But I think there's some talented guys in this class and some guys that can sling it, and just if they get in the right offense and the right scheme, I think they can have a really good career.
Man, I'd love to see you here with the Niners, man. It would be awesome. Where are you going to spend the draft weekend? How are you going to spend it? Are you doing a big party with all your friends? Or are you going to lay low? What's the plan?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna lay low. That's just who I am in general. I'm a pretty chill guy. I don't do too much. But yeah, definitely gonna lay low, hang out with my wife and my family, and then let the cards fall where they may.
Yeah, Anthony, man, we're big fans. I know it's been a rough ride, but you know what? The old saying, what the in the things in life that don't kill us make us stronger, right? And
Right,
I'm
exactly.
sure you're stronger for the path that you've taken. And man, I thank you for sharing your story with us. And we wish you nothing but success and great luck in this draft and your NFL career ahead. And as I said, man, I'm hoping the Niners say, you know what, that's the guy that we need behind George Kittle. I think this would be a
I
great
appreciate
offense
that.
for you. So thanks for
No
coming
doubt.
on the show, man, and really best of luck to you. And thanks again for sharing.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me, and it was a great time speaking with you.
Anthony Torres, we got more straight ahead. It's the Krueg Show.